welcome back to our channel. Travel through time with old coins, exploring history, empires, and lost treasures from the past. The year 1997 stood as a bridge between two decades, capturing the last breath of a more analog America before the new millennium's digital wave would sweep across the nation. It was a time when people still rented VHS tapes from their local video stores, when family dinners weren't yet overshadowed by smartphones, and when the pulse of the country was full of cautious optimism for what the future might hold. In the rhythm of daily life, grocery runs, gas station visits, little pockets of everyday commerce, the familiar copper glint of the 1-cent penny remained a quiet companion to millions of Americans. Amid this backdrop, the 1997 United States 1-cent penny entered the world, a small, simple token destined to carry a larger story than most would ever guess. On the obverse of this modest coin, the enduring image of Abraham Lincoln reigned supreme. His solemn profile, so intimately familiar to generations of Americans, still carried the weight of history on its features. Designed by Victor David Brenner so many decades earlier, Lincoln's image on the penny had become a reassuring constant through wars, depressions, civil rights movements, and the dawning of new ages. In 1997, with the world changing at a dizzying pace, Lincoln's calm, steady gaze seemed even more significant, a reminder of resilience and quiet strength. Beneath the motto, "In God We Trust," above the proud inscription, "Liberty," and beside the small, unassuming date 1997, Lincoln's legacy was once again imprinted into millions of coins. The reverse, still adorned with the Lincoln Memorial, echoed with the reverence Americans felt for their history. From the tiny depiction of the statue of Lincoln inside the memorial to the pillars standing proudly, every line in the design whispered a story of sacrifice, leadership, and unity. It was a design so rooted in the American spirit that even the most hurried glance at it could evoke a quiet kind of patriotism. The words, "United States of America," and "1 cent," completed the simple, profound circle of meaning, a declaration that no matter how small something might seem, it still held immense value. As these 1997 pennies tumbled from mint presses and found their way into change jars, vending machines, and jacket pockets across the country, few could have imagined that one day, certain examples would become immensely valuable. To most people, a penny was still a penny, a piece of change so commonplace that many wouldn't even bother to pick one up off the ground. Yet time, as it always does, had a different plan. What most missed was that hidden among the everyday coins were rare treasures, specimens that had, through an extraordinary combination of perfect minting conditions, impeccable preservation, and sheer chance, remained in a state of flawless beauty. These elite examples, untouched by the wear of circulation and boasting immaculate surfaces, pristine strikes, and dazzling luster, became the holy grails for numismatists. And as the numismatic community began to recognize just how rare truly exceptional 1997 pennies were, their value soared beyond anything the casual observer could have predicted. By the time the full significance of these perfect coins was realized, it became clear that they could fetch astounding prices at auction, ranging between $55,000 and an incredible $105,000 depending on their condition and pedigree. Imagine stumbling across one of these miraculous survivors, a 1997 penny so sharp in detail, so brilliant in color, that it seems almost freshly minted. To hold it would be to hold a fragment of a different world, a world before everything was online, before technology transformed every facet of daily life, before the old ways gave way to the new. It would be a connection to the past, a token of the everyday that had defied the odds to become something truly extraordinary. Collectors now pore over their collections, scour estate sales, search old coin rolls from banks, all in hopes of finding one of these elusive gems. They scrutinize every detail under magnifying glasses, the clarity of Lincoln's eye, the strength of the strike on the steps of the memorial, the crispness of every letter and number. They know that somewhere, tucked away in a forgotten jar or hidden at the bottom of an old drawer, a piece of history might be waiting to change someone's life forever. The story of the 1997 penny is more than just the tale of a coin that became valuable. It's a reminder that sometimes, in the rush of life, we overlook the very things that have the most potential to surprise us. That the everyday can hold treasures beyond imagining. That perseverance, whether in people, in ideals, or even in tiny copper coins, can lead to greatness. Today, when someone speaks of the 1997 United States 1-cent penny among numismatists, it is with a reverent awe. Not simply because of its monetary worth, but because of the beautiful improbability of its journey. A coin meant for the most ordinary transactions, a piece of metal designed to be used and forgotten, instead rose above its destiny to become a celebrated artifact of American history, and perhaps, tucked away in your own home, hidden in a jar of old coins, pressed into the corner of a forgotten wallet, there lies a 1997 penny of perfect brilliance, patiently waiting for its moment in the spotlight. Waiting to remind you that sometimes, the smallest things leave the greatest legacy. In the rich and ever-changing landscape of American coinage, few coins have traveled as quietly yet as significantly through time as the 1-cent penny. As the world stepped deeper into the second decade of the 21st century, 2012 stood out as a year of incredible change, rapid technological advancement, and a blending of traditional values with modern aspirations. Amid all this, the humble penny, though often overlooked in everyday transactions, continued to carry forward a tradition over a century old. The 2012 USA 1-cent penny became not just a coin, but a silent witness to history, a quiet participant in millions of individual lives across the country. At the heart of the 2012 penny stood the enduring figure of Abraham Lincoln. His image, unchanged for more than 100 years, remained a powerful symbol of American ideals, integrity, unity, and freedom. Victor David Brenner's original design, which first graced the penny in 1909 to commemorate Lincoln's 100th birthday, seemed just as relevant in 2012 as it did over a century earlier. Lincoln's profile, strong and determined, gazed eternally into the future, his face capturing the weariness of struggle and the resolve of leadership. The familiar inscriptions, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," framed him with a reverence that transcended decades. Below him, the simple year, 2012, tied this enduring vision to a new moment in America's journey, but while the obverse spoke of tradition, the reverse of the 2012 penny embraced a fresher design meant to resonate with contemporary sensibilities. The Union Shield, first appearing in 2010, was a nod to the strength and unity of the states under a federal government. 13 vertical stripes representing the original colonies were joined under a single horizontal bar symbolizing unity, a design steeped in history but presented with a clean, bold aesthetic for the new age. E pluribus unum, out of many, one, rested proudly atop the shield, an apt motto for a nation both diverse and unified. Across the shield in striking letters, 1 cent declared the coin's value, while United States of America arched proudly above, affirming the nation it represented. Though millions upon millions of 2012 pennies were minted for everyday use, something remarkable happened along the way. Amid the countless coins passed through countless hands, a small number remained untouched, perfectly preserved, their details crisp, their luster dazzling, their surfaces flawless. These rare specimens, known among collectors as high-grade examples, were far more than pocket change. They were treasures, artifacts of a specific year, frozen in time. As collectors, dealers, and auction houses began to recognize their rarity and significance, the value of these exceptional 2012 pennies soared. In today's collector market, these pristine coins can command astonishing prices, ranging between $40,000 and $80,000, depending on the quality of preservation, mint mark, and striking sharpness. The knowledge that a tiny copper-plated zinc coin, no larger than a thumbnail, could be worth such an extraordinary sum seems almost unbelievable at first. But it is this very improbability that makes numismatics so endlessly fascinating. Each rare 2012 penny is like a whisper from the past, a link to a particular year when people were grappling with economic recovery, technological explosion, and a rapidly changing global culture. When you hold such a coin, it is as if you can feel the heartbeat of 2012, a year full of hope, challenges, and relentless forward motion. Collectors today pursue these rarities with passion, scouring old jars of change, searching through bank rolls, visiting estate sales, and attending numismatic shows with the hope of discovering a perfect 2012 penny among the ordinary. For some, it is the potential financial windfall that drives them; for others, it is the thrill of the hunt, the dream of finding something extraordinary hidden in plain sight. In either case, the discovery of a pristine 2012 penny is more than a find, it is an achievement, a moment of connection to the larger narrative of American life. Consider the journey these coins have made. Struck at the mint, each penny was meant to live a simple life, to be spent, passed, worn down, and eventually forgotten. Yet by some twist of fate, a few managed to avoid the ravages of circulation. They retained the full beauty of their minting, preserving every delicate detail from Lincoln's solemn expression to the fine lines of the Union Shield. They are survivors, against all odds, carrying the echoes of the day they were created into the present. In a time when cash transactions have given way to swipes, taps, and digital wallets, the physical presence of a coin like the 2012 penny holds even deeper meaning. It reminds us of the tangible connections we still have to history, to commerce, and to each other. It is a small but powerful symbol that even in a world obsessed with the new and the now, the enduring beauty of craftsmanship, symbolism, and shared tradition still has a place. One can imagine, decades from now, a collector or historian picking up a perfect 2012 penny and marveling at the time it represents, a snapshot of a country in the midst of transformation, yet anchored by enduring values. They will see Lincoln's face and remember not just the man, but what he stood for. They will see the Union shield and recall a nation always striving, sometimes struggling, but never ceasing to be one. Thus, the story of the 2012 USA 1-cent penny continues to unfold, its chapters written not just in auction catalogs and collector journals, but in the quiet pride of those who recognize its worth. It is a story of resilience, artistry, and the infinite possibilities contained within the smallest of objects, a reminder that sometimes, the most unassuming things hold the greatest treasures. The 1984 USA 1-cent penny is one such remarkable piece, woven deeply into the fabric of the country's everyday life during a vibrant yet complex era. 1984, a year often remembered for its political shifts, economic developments, and technological aspirations, also gifted the numismatic world with a humble coin that would one day capture incredible attention. Imagine the bustling scenes of 1984 America. Neon lights flickering over city streets, children trading baseball cards on sunlit afternoons, adults dropping spare change into vending machines. In the pockets of millions, the 1984 penny circulated freely, bearing the steadfast face of Abraham Lincoln. His image, sculpted by Victor David Brenner decades earlier, carried a timeless aura of leadership and sacrifice. Lincoln's gaze on the obverse was firm yet contemplative, a stoic reminder of the values that shaped a nation: freedom, perseverance, and unity. The reverse of the 1984 penny still displayed the iconic Lincoln Memorial, a powerful tribute designed by Frank Gasparo. Between the stately columns, if you looked closely enough, you could even spot the faint outline of Lincoln seated within, a subtle yet profound touch that honored his enduring legacy. Above the memorial, United States of America curved proudly, while E Pluribus Unum proclaimed the unity of a diverse people. At the base, the simple declaration of 1 cent grounded the coin, linking it to the daily commerce of a thriving society. At first glance, the 1984 penny seemed like just another in a long line of Lincoln cents, useful, familiar, ubiquitous. But as years passed and collectors dug deeper, certain 1984 pennies began to reveal themselves as exceptional, extraordinary even. Minting errors, rare variations, and astonishing states of preservation turned these everyday coins into coveted treasures. Among the millions produced, only a tiny fraction possessed the perfect alignment of conditions that collectors dream about: flawless strikes, unblemished surfaces, and sharp, dazzling details. The passage of time has only magnified the rarity and value of these pristine 1984 pennies. In today's collector market, depending on factors like minting errors, condition, and sharpness, a high-grade 1984 penny can command staggering prices ranging between $60,000 and $125,000. It's almost surreal to think that a coin once casually tossed into a coffee shop tip jar or forgotten in a drawer could now be a prized possession worth as much as a luxury car or a down payment on a home. This dramatic transformation from humble currency to valuable artifact is part of what makes numismatics such an endlessly fascinating world. Holding a high-grade 1984 penny in your hand today feels like holding a relic of a specific time, a tangible fragment of a year filled with both hope and tension. It's easy to imagine its journey. Perhaps it was given as change after buying a movie ticket to see Ghostbusters or The Karate Kid. Maybe it was tucked into a child's piggy bank, then forgotten as the child grew up, leaving the coin preserved in mint condition, waiting for discovery decades later. Collectors cherish the 1984 penny not just for its rarity but also for the stories it carries. Some coins reveal subtle double-die errors, where Lincoln's ear or parts of the inscriptions appear slightly doubled, small minting quirks that send collectors into excited spirals of research and valuation. Others exhibit an extraordinary luster, that bright flash of almost molten color that comes only from impeccable minting and perfect preservation. These traits elevate the 1984 penny from the mundane to the miraculous. Searching for such coins is no small feat. Numismatists and hobbyists sift through bank rolls, attend estate auctions, and comb through old family collections hoping for a glimpse of that perfect 1984 specimen. When found, these coins become more than valuable. They become cherished symbols of perseverance, patience, and the love of history. The story of the 1984 penny is also a reminder of how the smallest objects can reflect the grandest narratives. Through this tiny disc of copper-plated zinc, one sees echoes of a vibrant and transformative America, a country balancing the weight of its past with the possibilities of its future. Lincoln's enduring presence reminds us of the ideals we strive for, while the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse anchors us in the gravity of history. It's fascinating to think how many hands each 1984 penny might have passed through, how many pockets it warmed, how many dreams it helped purchase in small, everyday transactions. And yet, through an almost magical twist of fate, a few managed to escape the erosion of time, remaining perfect, preserved messengers from another era. Today, when collectors showcase a flawless 1984 penny under the lights at an auction or in a velvet-lined display case, they're not just presenting a coin. They're telling a story of survival, of beauty hidden in plain sight, and of the incredible journey from ordinary to extraordinary. It's a story that reminds all of us that value isn't always obvious at first glance, that sometimes, the most commonplace things hold untold treasures waiting to be discovered. And so, the 1984 USA 1-cent penny continues to shine, not just for its historical and aesthetic significance, but for the wonder it inspires. It stands as a small but powerful symbol that history is never far away, that beauty can be found in the simplest forms, and that greatness sometimes comes in the smallest of packages. In the closing days of the 20th century, as the world buzzed with excitement and apprehension about the approaching new millennium, millions of everyday objects quietly circulated through American life, none more humble, none more overlooked, than the 1999 USA 1-cent penny. At the time, it was simply another piece of small change, a copper-plated zinc disc passed from hand to hand in busy supermarkets, bustling movie theaters, and late-night diners. Few would have predicted that decades later, this ordinary coin would captivate collectors and historians, its story intertwining with the broader tapestry of American life. The 1999 penny bore on its obverse the time-honored visage of Abraham Lincoln, an image that had graced the nation's lowest denomination since 1909. Sculpted by Victor David Brenner, Lincoln's portrait remains one of the most iconic images in American coinage. By 1999, it was more than just a design, it was a piece of the nation's soul. Lincoln's solemn gaze, weathered and wise, reflected a century's worth of trials and triumphs. Above his head, "In God We Trust," arched proudly, a reminder of the nation's enduring faith. To his left, liberty whispered of freedom, while to the right, the date, 1999, anchored the coin firmly in time, the very brink of a new era. The reverse side of the penny, designed by Frank Gasparo, featured the majestic Lincoln Memorial. Though small, the design was intricate, with tiny columns representing the unity and strength of the Union Lincoln had fought to preserve. If you looked closely, with a magnifying glass, perhaps, you could even glimpse the tiny figure of Lincoln seated inside the memorial. Above this image soared "United States of America," while "E pluribus unum" reaffirmed the nation's motto, "Out of many, one." Beneath, 1 cent reminded all who saw it of its humble value, or so it seemed. Yet even among millions, some pennies are not like the others. The mints in Philadelphia and Denver worked tirelessly in 1999 to meet the country's economic demands, but the high volume of production led to inconsistencies. A few coins slipped through with rare and fascinating errors, off-center strikes, double dies, improper alloys, or unusually sharp and flawless strikes. These tiny deviations, often invisible to the casual observer, would one day set those rare pennies apart as treasures worth their weight not just in copper or zinc, but in history and fascination. As time passed, the 1999 pennies quietly aged. Most were battered, scratched, and worn by decades of commerce. But a precious few, perhaps tucked away in a forgotten drawer, sealed in a proof set, or lost inside a commemorative album, survived in remarkable condition. Their surfaces gleamed with original mint luster, their details crisp and untouched by time. For these exceptional examples, the transformation from common currency to collectible gem was complete. Today, in the vibrant and ever-competitive world of coin collecting, a pristine 1999 penny, especially one with a rare minting error or perfect grade, can command astonishing prices. Depending on its specific qualities and provenance, such a coin can be valued between $45,000 and $90,000. It's almost surreal to think that a single penny, once idly dropped into a vending machine or slipped into a tip jar, could now hold the value of luxury watches, exotic vacations, or even a down payment on a home. This value is not simply about rarity, it's about story, preservation, and the powerful emotions coins evoke. Holding such a penny connects you with the anxious hopes of a society staring into the unknown future of the 21st century. It carries the fingerprints of history, perhaps from a child who carefully saved it, a collector who recognized its worth early on, or even an unaware citizen who let it jingle at the bottom of their jeans pocket for years. Beyond monetary worth, the 1999 penny is a profound time capsule. It witnessed a world before smartphones and social media, before streaming services and ubiquitous Wi-Fi. It reminds us of simpler days, of handwritten notes, rotary phones, and evenings spent gathered around the television for the evening news. It embodies a moment when America stood on the threshold, one foot rooted in the traditions of the past, the other reaching for the promises of the future. Collectors today hunt for these 1999 gems with fierce dedication. They attend auctions, scrutinize estate sales, comb through old piggy banks, and examine endless rolls of pennies from banks, hoping for that miracle find, that flawless coin that could change their fortune and connect them intimately with American heritage. And when they find it, there is a sense of awe, a quiet realization that even the smallest things, overlooked and forgotten by most, can become monuments to endurance, resilience, and hidden beauty. Every nick, every swirl of copper tone, every glint of reflection under light tells a story. It's the story of craftsmanship at the U.S. Mint, of errors and miracles, of commerce and survival, of dreams saved and lost. A perfect 1999 penny isn't just a numismatic prize, it's a testament to time itself. So next time you spot a penny glinting on the ground or hiding at the bottom of your change jar, remember, you might just be holding a tiny piece of treasure. It could be a simple cent, or it could be the silent, gleaming witness to a moment in American history, a coin whose true value, like so much in life, lies far beneath the surface. Glowing star. The year was 1988, a time of bold colors, new beginnings, and a nation confidently striding through the final chapters of the 20th century. It was the era of booming technology, blockbuster films, and a spirit of innovation sweeping across America. Yet even as the world looked to the future, certain traditions remained deeply rooted in everyday life, one of those being the quiet, unnoticed circulation of the humble penny. Amidst the vibrant backdrop of 1988, millions of 1-cent coins left the presses of the United States Mint, each bearing the familiar face of a president who had long since become an American icon, Abraham Lincoln. The 1988 1-cent penny was not just a piece of metal, it was a continuation of a legacy that stretched back to 1909, when Lincoln first graced the coinage as a tribute to the 100th anniversary of his birth. Sculpted with care and reverence by Victor David Brenner, Lincoln's profile had become instantly recognizable, a constant in the ever-changing landscape of American culture. On the obverse side of the 1988 penny, Lincoln's stern yet compassionate gaze remained unchanged. The words, "In God we trust," arched above his head, a solemn promise carried across generations. To the left, the word "liberty" stood firm, a reminder of the ideals Lincoln had given his life to preserve. And to the right, neatly tucked beneath his chin, the date, 1988, marked its place in history. The reverse side, designed by Frank Gasparo, displayed the stately Lincoln Memorial in miniature. With its intricate lines and classical columns, the memorial was not merely an architectural wonder but a symbol of the unity and strength of a diverse nation. Above the memorial, the proud words, "United States of America," stretched across the top, while "E pluribus unum," out of many, one, whispered a timeless truth about the country's foundation. Below, 1 cent emphasized the coin's modest value, but also its irreplaceable role in everyday commerce. Yet, hidden among the countless 1988 pennies that entered circulation, some coins were destined to be extraordinary. The U.S. Mint's colossal production scale, driven by the economic demands of the time, occasionally led to slight imperfections, anomalies that would later turn mundane currency into coveted collectors' treasures. In particular, the 1988 penny became famous for certain rare varieties and errors, including transitional design issues where details like the "AM" in America on the reverse appeared closer together or further apart than intended. These small but significant errors, often invisible to the naked eye, marked a tiny fraction of the total mintage, setting them apart from the ordinary. Today, a 1988 1-cent penny that exhibits these rare qualities, especially if it has been preserved in pristine, uncirculated condition, can fetch astonishing sums in the world of numismatics. Depending on its specific characteristics, such as error type, condition, and luster, these special 1988 pennies are valued between $52,000 and $100,000. It's an almost magical transformation, from a coin that once bought a piece of candy or a gumball into a prized artifact worth tens of thousands of dollars. This incredible rise in value reflects not just scarcity, but also the profound human desire to preserve pieces of the past. For collectors, finding a flawless 1988 penny is akin to unearthing a time capsule, a tiny window into an America filled with Walkmans, shoulder pads, neon lights, and the optimistic hum of a nation on the move. Each coin carries the echoes of that vibrant era, perhaps pocketed by a young student saving up for a new comic book, exchanged at a gas station during a family road trip, or dropped into a donation jar with a quiet prayer for better days. The survival of these pennies in mint state is a story of luck, foresight, and sometimes pure happenstance. Many were battered and bruised by the years, their surfaces dulled and scratched by countless hands. Yet a select few were carefully stored away, untouched by time, waiting for a new generation to rediscover their worth. In the hands of a skilled collector, the 1988 penny reveals its secrets: the glint of original mint luster, the razor-sharp definition of Lincoln's features, the crispness of the memorial's steps and columns. Auction houses today buzz with excitement whenever a high-grade 1988 penny appears. Bidders from around the world compete fiercely, each understanding that they are not merely buying a coin, but securing a tangible piece of history. Each sale, each whispered appraisal, each gleaming case in a numismatic exhibition tells the story of a nation, a president, and the people who believed enough in the future to preserve its relics from the past. Thus, the 1988 USA 1-cent penny is far more than its face value suggests. It stands as a testament to resilience, to the unseen miracles hidden in everyday life, and to the enduring power of small things to become great. It invites us to look closer, to cherish the overlooked, and to remember that sometimes, the tiniest treasures carry the mightiest stories. The next time you see a penny resting quietly on the pavement, take a moment to wonder, could it be another lost gem, another silent witness to an extraordinary history? Sometimes, in the smallest and simplest places, the greatest discoveries are waiting just beneath our feet.